have always focused on Windsor themselves. So they'll be in those large picture buildings at Windsor, and Westminster Abbey will sort of bow its farewell, and she disappears on Monday morning.
Indeed, so her mother, her father, her sister's ashes, and her husband will be interred with her, I believe, indeed, on Monday.
And indeed, and the Windsor arrangement, the mausoleum and all of this, the Victoria's there, isn't she? I mean, there's a whole sort of collection of buildings at Windsor which are also very moving in themselves. And again, it's this wonderful thing about the way our history and our royal history moves from site to site. I mean, Westminster Hall was only ceased to be part of the royal estate in some time back, 1964. I mean, it's incredibly late. You know, this evolution from Westminster towards Windsor over all that time.
Am I right in saying it was Oliver Cromwell's son who built Westminster Hall to show off his grandeur, and when it was built he felt that it was about half the size he'd hoped for and he was rather disappointed?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the Westminster Hall that we absolutely love, of course, it's got that marvellous hammer beam roof from 1402, so that's before Cromwell. And incredible span, incredible, the coverage always looks down, but actually if it looked up, and then you walk, visit the views. What you don't cap from this image is that when you're in Westminster Hall, it is this colossal timber roof. It is this vast hammer beam roof, a miracle of construction at the time it was built. I mean, it's worth just looking up at that scale of that timber and thinking, how on earth did they conceive of it? How on earth did they build it? Cutting the trees, putting it up. And when they had scaffolding up there about 2 or 3 years ago, and you could go up and look at it in detail because they were checking the structure.
Were you lucky enough to do that?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to do that, and it is vast. It is vast.
Did you find any of the tennis balls from Henry VIII, right?
I think the Victorians got rid of all of those, but it's a lovely thought. But no, I mean, we found lots of dust, but and some structural things. But I mean, it's an incredible survivor. I mean, because there was an IRA bomb at one point outside Westminster Hall, caused a lot of damage. There was the fire of the Palace of Westminster, 1834. It survived. You can still see on the stonework outside pink areas where the flames lapped up against the stonework.
And for the next 4 days, it is a resting place for Her Majesty the Queen.
And what a place! What an amazing place! And all of this just makes you sort of feel so proud that we have this incredible sort of built sort of heritage that is absolutely tracks our past right the way back, to Edward the Confessor.
Brilliant building, it really is. And let me just ask you before I let you go about your OBE, awarded in 2019. What did that mean to you?
Well, I was incredibly lucky because Her Majesty the Queen, of course, was a great supporter of Westminster Abbey. She was the visitor to Westminster Abbey officially because of its royal peculiar. She was the person to whom we answer ultimately.
Is that where the Bondi money was given? Westminster Abbey, not always.
No, yeah. I don't think it was so much there, but she was the visitor of, and instantly Windsor is also a royal peculiar. And she...
just looking at Theresa May, the former Prime Minister, taking a moment to pay her respects to the Queen with her husband Philip behind as we are speaking. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's very good to see her. I mean, the Queen was incredibly supportive of Westminster. So we created a gallery in the Triforium at the Abbey, and which involved creating a new tower, lift and stair tower. And the Queen came and opened that, and was very, very positive and supportive about it, and complimentary about it. And she told apparently the former Dean, she was telling all her friends to go and visit.
Your memories that you'll take with you of the Queen?
I had a sort of personal meeting with her at different times, and so I have a very warm memory of her, and in particular her sense of humour, and she was incredible. If you sat and talked to her, you could be talking to her like I might be talking to you. She'd be sitting next to you, and you'd be talking to her. And all the sort of thing about formality and I mustn't speak first, I must wait for it was just like talking to. And she was incredibly frank and funny, And so, I mean, I was felt very hugely blessed that I had an overlap with Her Majesty the Queen, and you know, I had the privilege of meeting with her and occasionally, you know, and as I say, sitting next to her, different things. And I cherish the memory.
It's good to talk to you.
Thank you very much
indeed for sharing some of those stories with us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you. As people continue to file solemnly past the coffin of Her Majesty the Queen, we saw just a few moments ago our former Prime Minister Theresa May and her husband Philip, who took a moment to pause by the side of Her Majesty's coffin and offer a few private thoughts before once again moving on to make way for the many hundreds of thousands of people that are expected to do exactly the same thing over the coming days. We've been chatting to people in the crowd who have been waiting overnight, making new friends along the way, but all for one end, to file into Westminster Hall and to see the Queen lying in state. She was brought here by her family yesterday.